All right, podcast time for the week. Door's still rolling down. That's how much I press play. We're good to go. Ready rock and roll. This week we're going to discuss the blog post that I wrote yesterday. I wrote it yesterday, but it's something that I've been toying with for the last couple of weeks, and it's about how our wants are the things that are holding us back, and they're the things that are making us have levels of anxiety, melancholy, depression, if you want to go that far. And I know that things like mental health, they're not something that we should just throw around willy-nilly. So I don't know if this needs a disclaimer, but it probably needs some kind of like a look. There are some serious things out there. Go get that shit looked at. But in this modern day, I don't know if we now just put a lot more emphasis on it. And am I at the age where this is coming up a lot more? I'm not middle-aged yet, but a lot of my friends are around that time period. So I'm just wondering and toying with, I'm 37, so toying with the ideas backwards and forwards of what gives me melancholy. Now, if you read the blog post that I wrote yesterday, you'll see in there that I do suffer some kind of melancholy on a regular basis, but I think that's to do with a couple of things. Like, business can be difficult. Business is hard for everybody who runs a business. Having children is hard for anybody who has children. Life in general has its things. It is difficult, and it can be quite difficult to not have some kind of melancholy. Melancholy was something that Abraham Lincoln suffered with, when he was running the United States during abolition. So abolition, whatever. Anyway, around the Civil War. So I'm not saying that I'm in the same position as him, but it is nice to know that even someone like Winston Churchill has documented that he suffered melancholy too. And again, these are very high profile people in very stressful positions. If you don't know who Winston Churchill was, he was the Prime Minister of England during the Second World War. Not the same position as Scott Hook, who runs Vast Strength and Conditioning with 2 kids and a wife. But a lot of us are dealing with that same sense of despair on a regular basis. And I've been wondering why. So what I found was it came down to our wants. Basically, in my opinion, other than chemical reactions that cause real anxiety and depression that need to be changed through medications, we basically are grown adults chucking a tantrum because we don't have what we want. Now, whether that's something material, like we want a new car and we can't get it, whether it's that we want a house and we can't buy it, the world tells us that we can't buy houses, I'm not sure. But ideally, really, it's our wants that are causing our depressions. I'm going to call them depressions now, but you can take that as far as you want. Be more serious, that if you need real help, go get real help. But if you're just feeling like you can get out of this slump, then maybe this video is going to help you with that. Because what I've found in the past, over the last couple of weeks as I've explored this, is every single time I have this, just things haven't gone my way. Maybe I have a member that wants to cancel, or a couple of members that want to cancel, and I'm like, but this person, they had a dream. And I've always had this too. This is another thing. I'm like, I have this dream that I want you to succeed. I don't think a lot of people see it, but what I do is not for me anymore. I do it for the other people, and I just happen to have to do the stuff and the things to bring them along. And when they say they want to quit, cancel, leave, they've got something in their life that they've got to deal with, but yet for some reason it hasn't given me what I want for them. And I've got no right to do that. But at the same time, I still end up with this sense of sadness, depressive feeling, this suppression of happiness. Maybe that's what it is, suppression of happiness. And I have no right to feel that, but I feel that anyway. And I was having a conversation with somebody during the week, and they were saying, like, I was doing so well and I want to keep doing well. And I'm like, well, maybe you should let go of that, because it's your wants that are holding you back. It's the wanting that gives you this sense of like despair that you're not getting what it is that you want. And what I've done for myself lately is I've stopped doing that. I've always been quite an angry person. I can be quite snappy. Again, in the blog post, I state that a couple of times I've been in a state where I've yelled at Madison and said, like, it's not fun on this side of an antidepressant. I even looked into recently what it would mean to start taking some SSRIs, which are like serotonin receptor medications, similar to antidepressants, if not antidepressants, just lower forms of that. And what I found from that was like the only thing that was causing me to be upset was always wanting. So I've now stopped wanting and focus now on doing the work that needs to be done, hoping, praying, and having faith that it will pan out. And this is one of those moments, doing this video purely for no other reason other than whoever watches this is to be able to say, like, I'm creating because I think you need to see it, that I need to produce it so that you, or that I am able to achieve more, not get more, not want more, but be able to just do what I can to execute what needs to be done. And for this reason, whatever happens past this is it's either going to be a success or a failure, but at least I did the thing. Now, do I want to be a multimillionaire, have a big house and do all that stuff? Of course I do. I want to have some stuff, but I don't want to do it for an integral reason. Now, I could be depressed because you may or may not know this, but I actually can't buy a house. So as much as people say, wow, you guys must be successful, I can't buy a property. I'm legally bankrupt, and I suffer for the consequences of a decision I made 5, 6, 7 years ago to not pay taxes now as 37 years old. And I'm way behind everybody else in regards to that. There are people buying their second houses. There are people doing other things. I was married very early, which meant I got got divorced very early, and then I didn't start having kids until a long time ago. I'm 37. I didn't have my first child till I was 31. I have nieces and nephews and in-laws I have in-laws that are a lot younger than me with children the same age as me. I have in-laws that are actually borderline 15 years younger than me who have just as many kids as I have, and I'm 37. And I look at that and I go, and I'm not wanting more or anything for them or for that, but that just shows that I'm behind the 8 ball in that sort of stuff. And I can take that personally if I want to, which again, a lot of people in my age or this sort of situation, they start to feel a bit of depressive symptoms because of the fact that they are behind the 8 ball. They're not doing the things that they probably should have or whatever it is. And it's just purely forced from a need of want, a need of wanting things that we didn't work for in the past. So back to the conversation about what I was having with a member during this week was he was saying to me how, he just wants to be stronger. He wants to be in these positions. And a lot of the people I have conversations with now, we talk about the gospel. And he said, and I just want to have the gospel in me. And my response to that was, you so badly want that you're forgetting to leave space for the gospel. And it's that detachment from our faith in processes that's causing our depressive, melancholic, anxious symptoms around what it is that we want. We're not letting the space be there to fill the gaps for the jobs that need to be done for us to get to where we need to go. We can be whatever age we want, compare ourselves to everybody else as much as we like. But at the end of the day, we just have to do the work. So if you want to get stronger, you want to be healthier, you want to be leaner, you want to be fitter, you've got to give it patience, you've got to give it time, and you've got to do the work. Now, if you are doing the work and you're not getting the results, maybe it's just that you're not getting the results as fast as you think you're getting the results. And I quote John 14:20 in the blog post, and I need to pull it up because I'm not that gospel-minded yet to be able to rattle it off. But my whole interpretation of this little piece of scripture here was that, so Jesus says in a verse from the Bible that expresses the unity of Jesus in the Father and follows, he says, Jesus says that on a certain day, where is it? I should have just pulled up the blog post, but I didn't. At that day, ye shall know that I am in the Father, and this is the old version. I've pulled up the King James version, so it sounds like it's old. It is in old Victorian English or whatever it calls it. But at that day, ye shall know that I am in the Father, and ye in me, and I in you. And what I take from that as an interpretation is that our time is going to come if we put faith in the process. Now, it can be spiritual, like you're asking a Christian to do, or it can just be faith in the process, which is what you would ask a secular person to do. But at the end of the day, if we put in the work, we will be able to reap what we have sown. And our time will come. I've been reading Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic, a really good book. I really like it. Again, a book I talk in the blog post, but in that book, she's just talking about the muse, letting our creative side come out of us, allowing ourselves just to produce content, products, do the stuff, do the things, sit down and do the work. And at points, if we don't do that, eventually that's just going to run away from us. And whatever we've been trying to chase through the thought process or the creativity that we've had, someone else is going to do that. And that could be the case. If you want to buy a house, you've got to now go and start to process out and do the things that you need to do to buy a house. Find out what it's going to take to buy a house. Actively pursue buying a house. Don't get sad and depressed that you can't do it, that you don't, you want a house, but you're depressed so you don't get up and go to work because you can't get a house because it's 2024 and no one's been able to buy a house for the last 4 years unless if you're a first homeowner, whatever it is. That's not true. Maybe you can actually do it and your time will come if you stop wanting and start pursuing the steps and the processes that you need to work on. There was a fourth book that I quoted in there as well. These things are so much harder to do after I work out. It was Napoleon Hill's interview with the devil. He discusses in there how it's the devil's job to tell us to be lazy, to sit back, to not actually do anything that we want to do. And that in turn feeds evil. And it does. It makes us live in a hell on earth if we don't pursue the things and when we don't lean into these sufferings and this hard work. So I've been rambling on for quite a while. But ultimately, what I want to point out is that it is my opinion that through our wanting so bad that we don't leave space for the steps and the processes and enjoyment of the journey of what we're trying to achieve, that we end up with these depressive, anxious, melancholic feelings, that we let the things that happen to us in our lives affect us because they're going against the things that we want. Stoicism tells us control the controllables. Like I quoted before, John 14:20 basically says that our time will come through him and through the Father. Whether you interpret both of those things, the idea is that controlling what you can rather than focusing on your wants is going to help you get rid of that low sinking melancholic depression feeling that you're feeling now. Stop wanting, do the work. If you actually have major concerns, you should definitely seek out. But I think if you can, change your focus, put faith in the systems, put faith in the process. Get up, get about it, act, be a doer rather than a wanter. And I'll see you next week.